Hello and welcome back, MTG Burgeonites. Here we are again with another installment of Build a Deck Tuesday, and here we continue our series with Zaxara the Exemplary. Okay, folks, so to get anyone caught up who's unfamiliar with our Tuesday content is we picked a commander a few weeks ago, and we've been adding chunks of cards to the deck each Tuesday ever since, based on some suggestions from the MTG Burgeoning community. So you can click on any of the links below to get yourselves caught up on some of the previous videos. Before we add our next 10 cards, we'll take a very quick review of the cards already in this Zaxara the Exemplary build. Unbound Flourishing, Doubling Season, Branching Evolution, Primeval Bounty, Simic Ascendancy, Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, Pemin's Aura, Kruphix, God of Horizons, Corpsejack Menace, Retribution of the Ancients. These were the first 10 cards added to this Zaxara build. And the next 20 cards that you're going to see have been X spells that have been included by MTG Burgeoning and the community. Villainous Wealth, Finale of Revelation, Torment of Hailfire, Hydroid Krasis, Exsanguinate, Walking Ballista, Animist's Awakening, Curse of the Swine, Voracious Hydra, Stroke of Genius, Profane Command, Pull from Tomorrow, Primordial Hydra, Stonecoil Serpent, Blue Sun Zenith, Erebus's Intervention, Hungering Hydra, Steelbane Hydra, Altered Ego, and Vastwood Hydra. And once again, to reiterate, you can click on any of the links below to take you to the previous episodes discussing these additions in greater detail. And in our video today, we are going to add our last 10 X spells. So you had a stack of 20 X spells here, and of course the very first 10 cards that were added. And these last 10 X spells will round out our X spell count for this Zaxara the Exemplary build, as we are focusing on X spells. So, first edition, the Lifeblood Hydra. For X and triple green, we get a Trampling Hydra that of course enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. However, when it dies, we gain life and draw cards equal to its power. The triple green in a 3-color deck, it's not optimal, but we do and will have a bunch of color fixing added to the deck at a later point that should not make the triple green too problematic. But this is Magic the Gathering, and sometimes color screw does happen. Admittedly, this creature would have been added sooner if an available copy was available. From the redundancy department of redundancy. Well, a copy is available now, baby, so here it is. Lifeblood Hydra is the next X spell added. X spell number 2, the Mistcutter Hydra. For X and a green, we get a creature, Hydra of course, can't be countered, and protection from blue, and haste, and of course it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. Can't be countered, and protection from blue, those are aces in my book. A Hydra having haste, that's fantastic. If this baby had trample, it would be number one in this deck. Again, this is a creature that would have been added sooner if a copy was available. Well, a copy became available. So here he is, Mistcutter Hydra, edition number 2. Following the if Hydra copies were available or would have been added sooner theme, we have Hooded Hydra. X in double green enters the battlefield with X+1/+1 counters, and when Hooded Hydra dies, we can put a 1/1 green snake creature token onto the battlefield for each +1/+1 counter on it. We can also morph Hooded Hydra. We tap 3 generic mana, put it into play face down, and then at any time we can tap 3 in double green to have it turn face up and put 5 +1/+1 counters on it. The ability of this Hydra to create snake creature tokens upon its potential death warrants its inclusion in the deck, even if it doesn't have the evasion that we're looking for. And similar cases can be made for the Lifeblood Hydra and the Mistcutter Hydra. I mean, the Mistcutter Hydra does have protection from blue, but the trample is what we were looking for, and Lifeblood Hydra does have the trample. It would have been an auto-include even without the abilities to draw cards and gain life. So if I misspoke about it not having evasion, it certainly does. The trample is right there. Okay, so if we can find Hydras whose abilities are strong enough to overcome the lack of evasion, we will consider their inclusion into this deck. All right, number 4. We have Gadwick the Wizened. There's that triple color again. Triple blue, so anything that we said about Lifeblood Hydra's triple green can apply to Gadwick the Wizened's triple blue. Here we have a 3/3 human wizard, and when it enters the battlefield, we draw X cards. So this checks a few of our boxes. It's an X spell, it's a creature, and it helps us to draw cards. Just those things alone are enough to enter into this deck. It's a very versatile creature. Additionally, whenever we cast a blue spell, we can tap target non-land permanent an opponent controls. How valuable and how many times we're able to trigger that remains to be seen, and we'll figure that out through gameplay and test playing. But Gadwick the Wizened checks our boxes and is our 4th addition to this deck. Our 4th addition in this video. Number 5, as we hit our halfway point, we have Thassa's Intervention. For X and 2 blue, this bimodal spell from Thoros Beyond Death allows us to choose one. We either look at the top X cards of our library and put 2 of them into our hand and the rest on the bottom of our library in a random order, or we counter target spell unless its controller pays twice X. Now, the metagame may not be a fan of counterspells. I know that my metagame is not, so we tend to stay away from most, if not all, counterspells. However, in leagues and at LGS play, this is a little easier to put in, including some additional X counterspells that we'll get to at another point in this series. But Thassa's Intervention allows us to dig pretty deep into our library to find a couple of key cards that we may need at any point in the game. The ability to counter the spell, it's there. What can we do about it? If it's available, it's just one. But Thassa's Intervention is valuable enough to include. Number 6. Open into Wonder. This uncommon from Amonkhet is X and double blue, and it allows X target creatures to not be blocked this turn. Until end of turn, those creatures gain, whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. As we highlighted earlier in this series, the Hydra creature tokens that Zaxara creates do not have evasion. And there are also a number of our creatures in our deck that do not have evasion, particularly some of our Hydras. This spell provides evasion for a turn and draws us cards. And it's an X spell, so this checks a lot of boxes for us from its versatility, and it's a great inclusion into this deck. All right, we're down to our last 4 cards, and here is number 7, Wildest Dreams. This is the first such double X spell we've included in this deck. And for anyone who's unfamiliar with double X, you just have to pay the same value of X 2 times. So this sorcery from Kaladesh says return X target cards from our graveyard to our hand, and then we exile Wildest Dreams. So if we want one card, we pay X once, we pay X twice, so 2 colorless, 1 for each X and a green, and we get the return of what an Eternal Witness would do. The benefit is the more mana, excuse me, the more mana we pump into Wildest Dreams, the more cards we can bring back from our graveyard to our hand. Unfortunate that we have to exile Wildest Dreams after its resolution, but, you know, bringing the cards from our graveyard to our hand and being an X spell checks some boxes for Zaxara and is a great inclusion in our deck. Okay. Number 8. And this one, let's get some feedback for this card. We got Black Sun Zenith. Okay, so we've got a sorcery here that's X and double black. And simply put X -1/-1 counters on each creature, and then shuffle Black Sun Zenith into its owner's library. This, in and of itself, is a fantastic board wipe. It dodges Indestructible, Shroud, Hexproof, Protection. Well, maybe not protection from black, but it does dance around Hexproof, Shroud, and Indestructible. This does not interact favorably with Zaxara because the token that is created by casting this spell will die. And with Zaxara only carrying a toughness of 3, it's safe to assume that Zaxara will die as well. So including this in the X spell under the parameters of its interaction and its favorability with Zaxara, we may need to blur some of those criterion to include this justifiably. We can just say maybe we're including this as a board wipe. Through gameplay and through play testing, we'll see the value of Black Sun Zenith. Okay. And number 9, we have Death Denied. For X and double black, this instant from the Kamigawa block says, return X target creature cards from our graveyard to our hand. Now, admittedly, I would normally want to include mass recursion spells such as Patriarch's Bidding, Rise of the Dark Realms, maybe even Living Death. However, with so many of our creatures having base power toughness 0/0, having no spells in our deck does not do us any favors. They will die upon entering the battlefield. So what better way to get them back into our hand to take more advantage of cast triggers through Zaxara than just casting Death Denied? Cast it on the end step, bring them back to our hands, cast them all over again. Death Denied is number 9. Which brings us to our 10th and final card. Our final X spell and our second double X spell, Gelatinous Growth. For double X and black, this sorcery says, if the camera will help to focus in here, come on camera, there we go. This sorcery says create XX green ooze creature tokens. Okay, they're not Hydras, I understand. I mean, the Vorthos in me is having some conflict, same thing with including Gadwick, but it's a spell. It helps us to create additional creature tokens. It does interact with Zaxara to give us the Hydra creature token. And again, the more we pump into this, the better it's going to be. Let's say, for example, that we tap a total of 11 to cast this spell. X is 5, so we do 5 for X, 5 for X, and then 1 green. We are creating 5/5/5 green ooze creature tokens. So for the investment of 11 mana, we're putting 25 power and toughness onto the board. And that's not even including the potential for creating a Zaxara the Exemplary Hydra creature token. Gelatinous Genesis is our 30th and final X spell for this deck. And there we have it, folks. We are 40 cards in to our Zaxara build, which means we have probably between 20, 23, 24, somewhere around 24 cards left to add. So let's add the rest of those cards. Do we have any auxiliary cards that can help this deck better? What about our ramp? What about removal? any additional enhancement cards that we want to include. I want to hear from the MTG Burgeonites out there. Let's finish this Zaxara build. Let's add the last couple dozen spells, and let's see what you come up with. This is MTG Burgeoning, folks. Go forth and enjoy your day. Want to become a Pack Wars combatant? 4 easy steps. Step number 1. Click on the link below in the description or go to www.buymeacoffee.com/MTGBurgeoning. Step number 2. Select either membership or support. Membership will enroll you into Pack Wars for $5 each month. Support will cost $5 for 1 month. Step number 3, complete payment information. The name you use will appear on the site. Use your real name, use your YouTube handle, or use no name at all and be anonymous. Be sure to include your email address in the information. Step number 4, most importantly, prepare for war.